we're a month-to-month SaaS solution, right? So a customer can leave us at any moment. And I quite frankly wouldn't want it any other way.
One of the most common questions I got just leading up to this, and people, reaching out, asking for the recording, but things they were excited about, was a question, and this I got a variety of these questions about quarterly business reviews, TBRs, right? Like it's a thing that almost I'm sure every MSP has been told to do, and a thing that when tried, a lot of MSPs run into trouble, right? They sit down, they show their customer a bunch of reports and things of that nature. And surprise, surprise, the customer gets very bored and sometimes never wants to do it again. And so I guess we start the Q&A section off on that about, TBRs, QBRs. What are some strategies to make those more effective and actually result in more new business rather than a frustrated, bored client?
I think for us, we fell into a while back. We fell into the role of let's look at the reports, and you just watch their eyes glass over, and their eyes get like that Monsters Inc. movie where the little girl's just sitting there trying to hold her eyes open. She's doing the slow blinks, and then what we found out is when we really pivoted our QBR, EBR, TBRs. When we really pivoted those to more of a forward looking, if you have the right point of contact, they want a plan. They want to think, hey, we're going to be, where do we want to be in 3 years? Here's where we're at. Let's reverse engineer that from here. And let's lay out that plan. And before you know it, your sales pipeline's being built out, and you have a customer on the other end who you feel that is a true partner, and you guys are partnering together and weather this storm for at least the next 3 years because you got this plan. That's really what we've seen. I think most people have fallen into let's look at the reports and the recap. That's all backwards looking. Let's forward think.
Any business owner, when it comes down to how we can grow your business faster, how we can help you make more money, who doesn't want to listen to that as a business owner? So yeah, I've always found useful to kind of stay in that domain.
Yeah. And I think, Michelle said in the chat that she's a super fan of Joe at Times Ask because she always leaves conversations feeling better, smarter, and more pleased. So
yeah, shout out Joe. She's our chief super fan maker.
But what it sounds like Joe knows is, she's embracing that only 3 types of experiences, right? Am I leaving somebody better, worse, or the same? And if you look at your QBR as an opportunity to, yes, listen, that is so important. I've got an entire chapter in the book about active listening, the steps to actively listening, what it means, why it matters. But you should be the smartest person they know when it comes to technology, when it comes to trends, when it comes to the future. If you frame it not just as, hey, this QBR is about what has happened in your business for the past quarter, but also what you need to know about AI and technology and, things that are happening from a regulatory standpoint or industry standpoint moving into the next quarter, then not only does somebody look forward to learning at that meeting because they know it's going to add value and they're going to leave it better than they showed up to it, but it gives you the opportunity to keep that relationship fresh and be the first person that they think of when they think of technology. Because again, if you want to earn those referrals, if you want them to be thinking of you when the opportunity arises, you need to stay top of mind. And it's a lot easier to do that when you know that you're going to have a valuable interaction with them every 3 months than if you only talk to them like when something goes wrong or once a year.
Yeah, so I have something here. Yeah, obviously Joe's amazing. She's been a member of our team from very early on. She is great. And the culture that we try to create here, we do it in what I would call kind of a unique way. I'm not saying that MSP should replicate this, but it gives you a chance to kind of think about how you can create similar culture. And so as an example, we're a month-to-month SaaS solution, right? So a customer can leave us at any moment. And I quite frankly wouldn't want it any other way. And the reason for that is because that means that every day when we show up to work as a team, we have to deliver an amazing experience. We can't just sit here and hope that they'll, count on them paying us because they're in a contract for multiple years. We can't be the cable company, right? We have to treat our customers in a way that exceeds their expectations so that every single month they want to renew their service with us. And that comes from a product perspective and what Jason does to build product and what our team on the product side does. It comes from our customer success side and just the way we try to approach the world, such as, I've worked in technology now since 1999, and I've intentionally stayed in the software arena for a reason. I've found just tremendous value in it. You can build things from scratch. You've got a blank canvas every day you come into work, and I just get super excited by that. But a lot of times our technology peers will think about bugs as something that should just be in an application. Like, bugs just exist. They hang around and we just have to live with them, and we just have to figure out how to coexist with bugs. If you look at how Jason approaches it and how I think about the world, we look at it as though if there's a bug, why aren't we squashing it? Why are we doing new development and building extra features onto the house if there's bugs in the walls? Like, knock the bugs out, then we can work on building an extension to the house. And if you watch what we do every single day, if something gets reported, it's rarely in our application for more than 48 hours.
Okay. Well, moving on to the next question, Terry Allen had a question for Brittany. We've talked so much about gaining new clients, but he asked, I'm curious if you can offer some wisdom on if you were to offboard a customer or lose them, how would you handle that to keep it positive and possible for a future reconnection?
Yeah, well, this is a really great question. Thank you for asking, Terry. Again, from like a selfish standpoint, one of the reasons that the stakes are so high here is because this is someone who is out there who can talk firsthand about having been your customer, who is an influencer, who does have a network of people. So you absolutely want to leave them in the best light possible. So a few things that you can do is make sure that you build enough time into the process to where you're setting them up for continued success. Everything that you need to do to help them transition, whether they're going to a different service provider or whether they're going to, take things in-house, make sure that you've got checklists to help ensure that above all they are taken care of, and remind them many times of, hey, we're going to do everything we can to make this a smooth process, because the thing that matters most to us is that your business continues uninterrupted. We want to make sure that there's absolutely no interruption in your business. The same way that you want to be super transparent in onboarding and show them what the steps look like and everything that's going to happen, do the same thing in reverse for offboarding. Have those checklists, have those things to say, these are the things that we're going to cover off on. Then make it a point to follow back up with them, not because you're trying to get their business back, but because you want them to know that you care about them still. They're not like dead to you. This is not a relationship that has ended. So make sure that they still get a birthday card that next year. Give them a call 60 days after they're officially offboard and say, hey, I just wanted to call and check in. Like, how is everything going? Is there anything you need us to do? Is there anything that you've realized in the past few months that like you wish we had talked about, or your new provider is unsure about? Like, keep that going.
Well, I bet, Chris, you've probably experienced this where someone has potentially left you thinking the grass is greener somewhere else and then has come back. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So for us, we've always approached it as a high level of integrity, right? If we have to make sure that clients and customers are a fit for us as much as we are a fit for them. And we may not be a fit for every company out there, and that's just the reality of it. And so, there's two different ways. Sometimes, when you have those offboardings that you want to handle with a high level of integrity. I approach it every single offboarding with a high level of integrity, and so does my team, because you just never know. It could be they're whatever the reason is that they're leaving. You always want to leave that door open for them to come back. We just had 2 or 3 of them in the last year and a half that have left and come back for various different reasons. Maybe it was pricing, maybe it was a bad experience they had with one part. But Brittany, you hit the nail on the head when it comes to that offboarding process. It's really about continuing to work with them. And if we at the end of the day care about people, so our mission statement is helping our clients be more successful through the effective use of technology. And the word clients is before technology for a reason. And at the end of the day, if we can't provide them the support that they feel that they need to run their business, make their business successful, we just want them to have good support and good experience for their business. And if that's not with us, then we will absolutely assist any way we can at a high level of integrity to transition you to another provider.
Well, and like you were saying before, Seth, getting clarity on the types of customers that you want so that you can get great new customers without having to hire more people because you're offboarding some of those clients that you maybe don't want. I agree with everything Chris said wholeheartedly. And I also think if there is a client that you're offboarding because they're not a great fit, if you do a great job, if you have that high level of integrity and you're helping them, you don't have to be afraid to say, hey, as I think you saw, where our sweet spot really is helping businesses that, and then, the parameters for whatever it is for you. So you can say, if you happen to come across anybody who's looking for an MSP that they know they can trust and is going to do a great job, that is a better fit for what we do, I would really appreciate you sending them our way.
It feels like it becomes this trap, right? Oh, they're not paying us any more money. So why should we lift a finger to really make this easy for them? Because we're not making money here. And I think for me, it reminds me of like the server that did an amazing job throughout the entire meal, but takes forever to bring the check. Like, can you please just give me the check? This is killing me, And so if you can just keep our wits about us through the end and just be above the board. And because I've just heard so many times where the keys to the castle are being held by some other service provider. It's just a common thing I hear in my peer groups a lot. It's just, Chris, you probably run into it 100 times, right? They just want to hang on to the keys. They're not letting go. They're not being helpful in any way. They'll maybe answer a question, but they're not going anywhere to help you find the pitfalls or the challenges with the handoff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you've been on the reverse side of that and you put somebody else in their shoes, that's one of the things that drives me to approach these offboardings with such a high level of integrity. I've been on the other side of that where they're like, well, ask us what you want to know. That's the classic, like, okay, can we get a lay of the land? We're going to be onboarding them, over the next 30 days. It's like, well, what do you want to know? And we're like, well, everything, and then they're like, well, you got to ask me questions. It comes to this whole, kind of back and forth thing that you try and avoid, but by being on the other side of that is like, that's one of my primary drivers, mine and my team's drivers to approaching these with such a high level of integrity. We've been on the other side of that, so if you're going to be a server, and one of your, they just take forever to bring the check, it's like, as a server, you're probably gonna be like, I've been in that position before. I'm going to start handing out these checks, maybe not with their meal, but but yeah, I mean, it depends on your table turnover, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's so important, for a variety of reasons. I'll actually go into that later. I've got a thought at the end there. But moving on to Samantha Finley, who's thinking about slow elevators. And by the way, I'm from Winter Haven, about 10 minutes away from that Legoland resort. They are extremely charming, but after a while, as a local, you start to take the stairs, but they are awesome. But you think about these slow elevators, at the MSP help desk, turnaround times, getting proposals out quickly, projects waiting on hardware, things of that nature. And you ask for some ideas for making these things less painful, like in the case of the disco elevator.
Yeah, well, thank you for the question, Sam. This is a great question and definitely one Chris should speak to as well. But the fact that you listed them out is a great place to start. Because once you've got that list, it's a matter of getting your team to help you tackle each one at a time. So you say help desk turnaround times. Are you regularly auditing all of the requests that your help desk gets? And if they're getting a lot of the same ones, whether it's like, I forgot my password or whatever, is there a way to automate part of that response? Is there a way, whether it's through like a video that can be sent or something that's pulling from the resource library, like, is there something that you can either do to help make it more self-serve or quicker for the member of your team to respond on those? In terms of getting proposals out quickly, I got to be honest, like, the mark of an established business is one that can turn around proposals quickly. If you're not yet able to get proposals out quickly, it means because you have not given enough intentionality to the process. You need to take a break from working in your business and work on your business. You should be able to template at least 85% of every single proposal that you send out. For the things that you can't automate, you need to know what information that you need to make a decision about that piece. If you're not able to get proposals out quickly, it means that you're not being as efficient as you should, either because you haven't dialed your process in enough or you haven't studied the things that are repeatable. Because as an MSP, a huge percentage of what you do should be repeatable. It is templated. You are doing things for clients. So yes, there of course will be considerations about what is unique to each person's business, but not in a way to where you shouldn't be able to plug that information into a spreadsheet or figure out very quickly what that price is going to be to use that template to get it back.
It comes back to setting and managing those expectations. And if, there's two different ways of looking at this, from an MSP point of view. Are you being told the turnaround times are too long, or is your perception the turnaround times are too long? And, I think back to our, Evolve group. If you're comparing yourself to another MSP, you don't know if that MSP is doing well or they're not doing well. So it's almost a disservice to compare yourself to their MSP. In light of transparency, ask your clients, ask your customers, say, hey, was our turnaround time on this? And they, again, back to the humility, high level of integrity is, solicit that feedback. But, this may not be, an issue. It may be your perception is the issue here. And then look for ways, as I mentioned before, you can make those small incremental advances. Brittany, like I said, she knocked it out of the park. You should be able to templatize everything when it comes to a quote, a proposal. We have a solution library that's basically a scope of work, our hours estimate, our bill of materials, and it's fill in the blanks and we send it off. A couple things because infrastructures are different. So it's a couple things here and there that you want to modify, but a lot of that should be templatized.
Absolutely. That's sort of an aha moment that I had when dealing with clients in general, is just putting on their eyeballs and how they see you. It's really hard for someone to evaluate an MSP, right? There aren't MSP review sites or any sort of Angie's List, right, for MSPs. Oftentimes they just have what they see right in front of them of how to evaluate you, right? And as Brittany says, right, like how fast you get your proposal out. That's going to be key criteria in how they evaluate your response time. Shouldn't be, it's just a sales time, right? It's not your support team, but it is what they have to actually view and see you. And same thing goes for your help desk. You got to think about those contact points and really put yourself in their seat and look at yourself in that from that direction. It can really help to figure out what matters most. I just want to go around the panel real quick and just get your guys' thoughts on what the most important thing. We talked about a lot of stuff today. What do you think the most important thing is for MSPs to take away from this? Start with you, Chris.
I would say the super acronym there. The story, understanding your customer's story. That platinum rule, exceed the expectations, and then, rinse and repeat, right? That was the big takeaway here. And it's just, if you do that and that's at your core, it's pretty challenging to fail. It really is.
For me, it's evolving and maturing your service operations at all times. We have to do that here at TimeZest. Your business should be doing it too. It's a no-brainer for me.
And you, Brittany?
So one of the things that I talk about a lot on stages and in my book is the idea of before, during, and after. So a lot of times we spend a disproportionate amount of attention on okay, they're our client. All right, they're not going to be our client anymore. You've got to also elongate that experience in your mind to focus on the before and the after, specifically onboarding and offboarding, because that is absolutely as much of your customer's experience as the stuff that happens during. And the reality is, if you screw up onboarding and you have somebody who's now this is going to suck, it's going to make their perception of the next year much worse than it is. So you win your renewals, not in month number 11 and a half, but month 0. So thinking about how you want to differentiate yourself, what your superpower can be, and how you're changing things from like sucking or just being like fine into things that feel easy and great in onboarding. And then if it comes to offboarding, so that you can continue to maintain that reputation as someone who operates with integrity and efficiency.
And for me, it's really just the don't think white glove means working harder and not smarter, right? Put yourself in the client's perspective. What matters to them? And oftentimes it's just they want their issue solved as fast as possible, right? And so don't necessarily inject yourself just for the sake of injecting yourself. Use tools, be smart when you can.